was going to go to the ICC to lift some weights and stuff and do my upper body workout, but um, between everything that's been going on, I think I'm genuinely getting sick if I don't rest more. And I slept really badly last night. Like, I kept waking up and being like, it's time to get up, and it was like midnight, and I was like, oh. So it just was like weird in that sense, and then having weird dreams too. It just was like, okay, this was not a restful night. And like part of me, I feel very conflicted because part of me knows that I can put my head down and get it done. Like I can get full soldier mode and just grit with it and being like, oh, well, I still have to do it, so I'm gonna go do it. Um, but it's like, okay, wisdom is not like that. Wisdom says, okay, it takes more effort if you don't sharpen your axe. And ultimately, like I would rather not break myself, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather be able to go back to it stronger next week instead of like dead. And I don't want to miss out on the rest that my body needs to rebuild from the workouts that I haven't always been doing. Like I haven't always been pushing myself this hard, so it's like probably need more rest than I'm giving myself. So that's my thinking this morning. Add in, like, I don't know if you can tell, but like, I feel really sick. I've been like blowing my nose. So I don't really think it's a smart idea for me to like do that workout right now. And then add on to that, like, last night I was drinking some water and I like choked on it a little bit, so I was like coughing really hard, and now my throat hurts. So it's just like added pain of like, ugh, like my throat already hurt from like kind of being a little bit off, and now it hurts because I coughed really hard. And now every time I drink water, it kind of feels like I'm gonna choke a little bit because of how like much I coughed last night. It's just I feel really gross. Is the whole point. I feel really gross, and I don't normally feel this way. And while I really want to just push myself harder, it just reminds me of where I was at a few years ago of just like ignoring my body instead of giving it what it needs. So I'm giving my body the rest it needs this morning, and hopefully, hopefully I can do more things the rest of this week. So whenever I feel like I like have to work out or I'm gonna lose my mind, that's I mean like there's different kinds, but like if I feel like if I don't work out then I'm X, Y, or Z, that's usually when I shouldn't be working out. Like this morning, like if I'm shaming myself into it, then I shouldn't be doing it. Or like if I'm being overly strict to this is the goal that I had and I have to stick to it, then I'm ignoring myself, my body's needs for the sake of what? Holding on to my own rigorous standards that nobody else is holding me to. And it's not like I'm training for anything specific. Like I'm not training for an event other than a 10K. But like I'm not an athlete. Like I'm not being paid to do this. It's not something that I'm, even on TV doing in front of everyone. Like Will Smith's like journey, he was filming that, so it's like extra expectations and stuff, and even that like people probably would have been like, dude, you need to chill out. Like, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's between that and like also the harder I work myself like physically, the more strict I want to be in other aspects too. Like the amount I eat, the amount I sleep, the other things that are going on. And usually it's about restriction. It's about like trying to make sure that I don't even know why that mindset is. Like it's so self-defeating because if I genuinely wanted to get stronger and that's the only goal, then sleeping enough is easy, like that's what you need to do. So setting that aside, I'm trying to. It's just like I get too excited at bedtime now because I'm like working up until kind of bed, and then it normally I will not be like this, but lately it's been pretty bad of like being so excited about everything that happened that day that like it's hard for me to fall asleep for a bit. And then the whack dreams were not what I was expecting, and then of course I got up at 6, which isn't that early, but like I need to start sleeping more, but I'm gonna have to wait until this project stuff is done. So it's like I'm okay with it temporarily, but I know that this isn't something I want longer term. In fact, I'm gonna sleep so much this weekend. That is the plan. So yeah, then if I was just focused on like setting myself up for success, that would be eating enough and eating more than I typically would, and that requires the submission of like, all right, my body's gonna look how my body's gonna look, like regardless of what I'm doing, I'm trusting that this is what I have to do to feel good, to feel myself, to feel like me. I'm gonna set aside how other people might perceive that and how other people might perceive that the actions that I'm taking, because it's not even just like I hate, and I'm sure this is like a fairly common thing, but I like hate the comparison thing that happens between people's food, like, oh, you're eating that much, oh, you're eating that much. Like, excuse me, I might have a different body, I might have a different history. You need to stop. Just stop. Like, but I don't know. I love that shared food is a big part of like human connection. I just want to focus on the person that I'm with instead of the thing that I'm doing, which is such an important mindset shift that I had, years ago, but like it's so true. Like when you get so caught up in what you're eating and how many macros, micros, all of those things that are good to know. They're good to know. They're tools, but you miss out on what life's about. You miss out on that wonderful conversation because you're just thinking about your next meal or thinking about other things. You get so food obsessed because you're not eating enough that it doesn't even matter that you're with someone really cool, because you aren't thinking about that. You're just thinking about what you're doing rather than who you're with. Um, and honestly, like I think that carries over in a lot of ways to like other areas. Like if you get too hyperinflated on one aspect, everything else is blown out of proportion. And that I feel like is, if I'm forcing myself to work out this morning, it's not doing it because I want to, and it's not doing it because it's good for me. It's doing it because I'm afraid not to. And that is why I'm not going to do it. Empathy is exhausting. Um, Getting better feels worse, and we don't live in a fair world where the work you get in equals what you get out of it. I also think balance is really important, and I'm really concisely saying quite a lot of things I've been thinking about, and I guess it's hard to release control over so many aspects of life, and that lately I've been stressed about the way that it's more that I'm confronting that vulnerability, that insecurity, that I myself, Susanna Mason, am not enough independent of action. And by proving myself to myself, then perhaps I can earn my role in the world. But it's my existence alone and not my conveyed value that is enough. And it's not necessarily that I am perfect, it's that my existence is not improved by my effort as far as my deserving to continue to exist is not improved by my effort. My life in general is made better as I invest in it and as I invest in myself, but it's not out of fear that I create a investment that has a good bonus, but out of love. And it has to be out of love for myself. It has to be out of kindness to myself, and it has to be out of compassion for other people that I make actions and plans. I like to dream big, and I think that's part of why I'm so overwhelmed so much of the time, because my dreams are almost too great to handle. At this moment, I know they're too great for me at this moment to handle, but I am becoming the kind of person that I dreamed of years ago, and I am not ashamed of the effort that I've taken to reach this point, because the person that I'm shooting to impress, it's either childhood me or really old me. And I've said this before, I've mentioned it before, but like, I don't want to care more about what other people think of me, because honestly, they know so little. They know so little of my mind and of my heart and of my emotions. And the more I get to know other people, the more I hear about other people's struggles, the more shocked I am by how little you can read from a distance, how little you can perceive from walking and talking with someone for a time.
That's only a portion of their life overall. And it's been helpful to live with such good people who are so consistent and so passionate. But I think in some ways it makes it hard for me to see myself objectively, to see the progress that I'm making. I think these disjointed thoughts throughout the day, and I'm not really putting them together, but I'm verbalizing them. I know that in reality I'm doing fine. In fact, I'm doing better, much better than I think that I am. But there's still this suspicion that it's all going to, fall away, and I'm going to become this person that I don't recognize. And that's honestly what scares me more, is becoming someone that I don't recognize. And I know that I will. And I know that it's only temporary, that I'm in this place that I am. At this time, this is what I need. And at another time, I'll need something different. But there's no shortage of me growing. There's no need for me to expect failure because I'm experiencing success. And there's no need for me to doubt the good things that are happening, because honestly, nobody deserves the good things that happen. I don't want to cut corners to succeed. That's not really my style, because my goal isn't to get that accolade, it's to learn. And I think having that mindset, having a growth mindset, having a learning mindset, I'm always becoming more in line with either what I want to be or, other things. And even if I am growing in a direction, I can always redirect. I can always go back to center. And it's always that redirection back to center that is the point. Like, we are always drifting automatically, whether that's upstream or downstream. And yes, it's exhausting, but yes, it is better. It is better for me to invest in myself and invest in the people around me than it is for me to be overwhelmed and overcome by self-doubt to the point where I can't even speak without questioning the words coming out of me. I'm being a little bit more vulnerable this time, a little bit more emotional, I think, than most of the time. But I have to be upfront with some things, because I think that I assume I'm the only person that thinks this way or feels this way most of the time. And sometimes I'm the only one in my little bubble of the world. But that's the nice thing about the internet, is that the world is so much bigger. And I hope that I can be an encouragement to other people who are highly driven and who are highly motivated to work on things, but are also highly doubtful of their right to even want them. Because I guess that's part of the struggle, right? It's not just the situational, like, I struggle to physically overcome this burden. You can overcome most anything in time if you do it the right way, in the smart way. But it's the mental, can I even overcome it, that becomes the most difficult obstacle. And I've seen this so many times in my own life. If I start to tell myself that I can't do something, it's like steering my car into oncoming traffic because I'm afraid that I'm going to hit them. And I've never done that, but I can imagine that it comes easier if you're thinking it's going to happen than if you are either unconscious to it or focused on a positive outcome. As much as I wish I didn't feel or think deeply, thinking and feeling deeply has been probably one of the only constants in my life. It's probably my weakness and my strength, I guess. But it's our humanity and our humility that makes us most enabled to create things of value, because a robot can't understand pain, and pain is probably the most universal human experience. It's the difficulty, I think, that creates that connection to reality that we so desperately desire. And when I've experienced loss is when I've been the most aware of my humanity and most aware of wanting to help other people who are suffering. Because it's not like I'm like, oh, pain, it's something that's happening, seek it out, get uncomfortable. I mean, in some ways, I think people can deserve or can gain something from being a little bit uncomfortable. Like, sometimes I'll take cold showers and that kind of stuff if I'm feeling in a rut or a little too seeking just enjoyment. Because like it or not, you're going to face opposition. Even if you're doing everything perfectly, you're still going to face opposition. And it's really important to disconnect the opposition from something negative and make it into something positive and productive. And I am gonna call that good for now. I need to eat something. That's probably why I'm angsty, but it's all good.
I think it's really important to remember this is not a balanced time in my life right now. This is a really crazy crunch time. And while it's not good, it's also very temporary and it's only for the next couple days. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to just have peace with that and know that this isn't something that I'm going to put myself through on a regular basis, but I can return to normal as soon as possible. So I am still feeling a little bit snuffly, but I got my phone a day early, so I'm excited about that. I am going to call it a night super duper early tonight. It's like a little after, okay, it's like 8:45 now. That's not that early. It's not that early. I am rendering out some stuff in Keyshot right now. I'm pooped. Like, I am dead tired right now. Fortunately, the renders are all, like, set up, so I can just queue them all and, like, go to bed. I'm hoping to get, like, a bunch of them set up tonight, so I don't have to think about it, and just call it good. So, that's it. Wish me luck. But the new phone camera looks kind of spicy. I feel weird, though, because I feel like I could be insecure before, and it's like, but it's okay, because at least my camera sucks. So, like, at least I don't look, I can justify some of how I look to, like, my camera not being the best. But no, this camera is pretty alright, so I just have to own it. Like, this is just how I look. Wow. And that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go rest. So, catch you later. I know it's after I said I was gonna go to bed, but I was thinking about it, and I think this is an important lesson that I want to remind myself, but like, I overshared with a friend today, and the conversation just wasn't necessary, it wasn't productive, it wasn't helpful. I didn't really feel like sharing what I shared. I just shared it because I was tired and I wasn't thinking right. And I feel really gross now. And I want to remember that feeling, and I want to remind you, like, you don't have to share stuff about yourself to get people to like you or because you feel like you should. It's an important lesson I need to remember, especially like when I'm tired, especially when I'm burnt out like I am right now. I'm feeling a little bit better and I'm gonna go to bed, so I just don't want to like let that lesson go unlearned. I want to remember how I feel right now, and that level of like, ugh, I feel bad that I shared that, and I don't think I should have. And I will apologize probably, but it's one of those things, it's like, I can't take it back, like, I can't undo that, so it's just like, ugh, I just have to take those and, like, put them, the thoughts somewhere else, but so part of that is me expressing it now instead of thinking about it, but yeah, I just don't want to forget that this is an important lesson, so. Guess who's actually sick this morning? Me.